At the 42, handoff Marshall. Bounces out right, breaks the tackle of Donovan Jones, and slides down after getting a first down instead of running for a touchdown. That'll move the sticks, and that will seal the day here for Michigan. First down, move the sticks. Final timeout from Nebraska, minute 24 to go. Michigan in front, 30-27. They needed that first down. They got it.
30 seconds.
And the Husker fans will hit the exits.
I don't like where we're at right now. I feel like someone, hit me with a hammer right now. I wanted to win the football game, and I thought we would win the football game. It's like anything else. There's things that were exposed that have to be improved, or we won't be the team that we want to be. There's other things that I thought were excellent, and so it just, it's just going back and methodically the same process, the same approach we had after games we've won, lost, the games we won. I told the team, I watched Georgia, Tennessee, and Georgia beat Tennessee last week. A game Tennessee probably should have won. I didn't leave saying oh, Tennessee's done. It's just, hey, we're gonna have to improve this and improve that and ascend from there. So I'm sure we're disappointed.
This is when our brotherhood's tested, and our guys will fight back harder than ever, and we'll come back ready to go get ready for the next game and win. So, this, a lot of people think this might break us, but I'm just telling you right now, be careful. We're going to come together and do something scary.
1, 2, 3, my baby don't mess around because she
Happy Sunday morning. Welcome to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620 for your phone calls. Reacting Nebraska's first loss of the season. The University of Michigan. No school in the Big Ten do I dislike more than the state of Michigan. And I'm saying the whole state of Michigan, but they take care of business. They come into Nebraska. They win 30-27. I'll tell you, the hardest part of this whole thing, right? Obviously, I didn't grow up a Nebraska fan. Didn't go to school at Nebraska. Been here now 23 years. Been on the radio for 21 of those. And the hardest thing every time, and this is an unfair statement for me to make. I'm going to say that before I start. It's an unfair statement. But it feels like the same thing over and over again. And I know it's not. It's different every time. But the line deja vu all over again that was uttered by Yogi Berra so many years ago is the way it feels this morning. And it felt last night walking from the stadium. And it's felt like this so many times when Nebraska had a chance to have a signature win, beat a ranked team, start a conference schedule with a win. Again, welcome to Severe Reaction. I am Michael Severe. Joey, the producer, in the house.
I'm back.
With his Packers jersey on. It's got a hoodie underneath it, or is it like a one piece?
Yeah, it's a dry fit hoodie underneath. And I just got this. I just got this jersey in the mail yesterday, so just in time for this afternoon's game.
Are you number one?
Yes, I'm number one.
There you go. Wear your number. You're number one. Joey, the producer, in the house. Again,
it's also Micah Parsons' jersey.
Of course, it's a Micah Parsons jersey as well. We won't talk about how good the Packers are right now, but I would say if you're going to put some money on a Super Bowl champ, that's where I would put my money right now. Anyway, getting back to Nebraska, I thought Nebraska would win the game. I thought during the offseason Nebraska would win the game. I thought there was a bunch of parts to what Nebraska could do that would be able to outscore. This is the exact score I picked, by the way. I picked 30-27, but I picked Nebraska to win. So I thought there would be more points than expected. I thought that the offenses would each have some success in different ways. I thought Nebraska through the air, which they did. I thought, Michigan on the ground, which they did. So not a shock. I expected that. At the same time, there were things that I didn't expect or that I expected that went worse than I even anticipated. We saw this look on the fans' faces a couple times against Colorado. We saw it at Illinois. Go all the way back to 2015, watching it after the BYU game. It's that look that you have saying, when is this going to stop? When are we going to have a couple of dudes make plays to win these games? When is that going to happen? And that is where we are this morning, asking that question. Who among you is going to stand up and make a play? We're going to go over that series on that long drive that Michigan had when they had those 3 third downs, where they converted all 3 of them. 3 of the 4 they had all game. We'll look back at that drive and show you that that's what it is. It's a person, a man, needs to stand up and make a play. Lombardi said football is about blocking and tackling. Everything else around that is extra. If you block well and you tackle well, you win. And in the end, Nebraska didn't tackle well enough to win this game. Again, if you want to contribute to the show, 402-951-1620. Of course, brought to you by our good friends at Equitable Bank, where they take banking seriously and answer the phone on the first ring. And Nebraska Medicine, they want you to be a part of their team. Nebraska Med, you check them out, go to their website. They're looking for you now. All right, let's go to the phones. We'll start with Jim this morning. Good morning, Jim. How are you doing?
Good morning, Michael. It was a pretty tough loss yesterday. But once again, we artificially limit our offense by not throwing the ball deep.
Yeah.
We threw the ball deep once.
Six
and
times.
What happened?
6 times.
It just,
yeah.
I'm sorry. You can't win a game when you limit your offense to only 20 yards down the field.
Yeah.
And yes, they were rushing really hard on us. But you have to have your quarterback step up in the pocket and let one go and let them know that you will do that. And trust your receivers to go catch the ball. Other than that, I really thought that we played an overall, we played well enough to win, except several times. Where were our safeties on those long runs?
Yeah.
I know that Michigan had. That's my only comment. I'll hang up and listen to you. I'll talk to you later.
Jim, I appreciate it. Total in terms of 15 or more yards down the field, Nebraska threw the ball 6 times. And Dylan Raiola was 4 of 6. Of course, one of those was the Hail Mary. This is something we talked about last week, talked about in the pregame show on Saturday with John. Nebraska and Dylan Raiola have been very good overall throwing the ball down the field. They just haven't done it a lot. Coming in, about 23% of the passes were 10 or more yards. If you look at just 6 passes thrown at 15 plus out of the 41, that's only about 14% of the passes that were thrown by Dylan Raiola were thrown at 15 or more yards. You have to throw more than that. And I know that there was pressure. There were times where there weren't pressure. There were times where he could have gotten the ball down the field, But you know what? He was 30 of 41. He was over 300 yards. He had a good game, especially under all the pressure. I don't think the PFF numbers on Husker Online have been posted yet for what the pressure was. I know they only listed like 2 quarterback hurries among the 7 sacks that Nebraska gave up, but there were a lot more. I would guess when those numbers come out from Pro Football Focus that Dylan Raiola was under pressure close to 50% of the time. Now, when you say that, that means there were 50% of the time where he had opportunities to make throws down the field. And it was obvious that that had to be done. And a couple of them weren't till very late. But the idea that Nebraska is, and as Jim said, they are limiting their offense with the way they throw the ball and the routes that they throw the ball. So, Mills, he's already shown you can get deep as a true freshman. I believe Dane Key could be a good intermediate to deep wide receiver. I've seen Williams Nwaneri get down. Wrong one. I have seen Hunter get down the field, right? We've seen guys be able to do that. You've seen Barney get down the field. But the choice is a lot of times is, and I like it, get the ball out of his hands fast as possible. I love that. I think that's a great thing to do. But there's going to have to be times where you're going to have to say, hey, you have to worry about us. You're going to have to back off, which gives obviously Emmett Johnson and other running backs a chance to be able to have a little bit more room underneath it. At some points of the game, you see the safeties from Michigan only about 15, 16 yards off the line of scrimmage and stepping up. When you have that many guys in the box to be able to make plays defensively against your run game or even your short passing game, you're defeating the purpose of what you should be, and that's explosive. Nebraska should be explosive with the guys they've added to this team. Now, we'll go over what went right and what went wrong, and we'll go over the keys, and we'll go over a bunch of different things. But in the end, it was Michigan. And I know Coach Rule said after the game that it wasn't as much about physicality, but that's what Michigan did. They dominated the most important matchup of the game. Nebraska's offensive line, particularly Nebraska's offensive tackles, against their dudes, their bros, their number 1, number 4. I mean, those guys, number 8, those guys dominated that matchup. And in the end of the game, when you strip away everything from the game, that was the ultimate decision. It was a decision between whether or not this offensive line can handle that defensive line, and they couldn't. and they couldn't do it. Justice Haynes, we knew he would run well. We knew he'd break a long one, went for 75, 146 total. I told you their backup running back, Marshall, was pretty good. Obviously broke a long one. But in the end, how many times did you see the tackles? And, they pulled Gunnar Gatula out for a little while, and they brought in Pritchard. He had the false start. I know some people are mad about that, but he had the false start. He was gone out. Prohaska is so tall and so long, it allowed 8 or 1 to get under him a couple of times and get past him. You feel bad a little bit for Dylan. I mean, he's getting the ball and he's got to catch rock and throw. And at that point, the guy's already in his face. So, I mean, that's the matchup that was most important, and that's the one that Nebraska got defeated at the majority of the time. Let's go back to the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Jeff is this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Hey, first off, I wanted to thank you for the Saint win total.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
By the end of, but stayed up late, watched the Michigan State game last night.
Yeah.
And my big question is when did the Big 10 become the Big 12? Are we just going to have to outscore everybody the rest of the season? Because there's like no defense from some of these.
Well, Jeff, you know what happens is you bring in 2 of the highest offenses, Oregon and USC, you bring them into the Big 10, and everybody's like, well, I guess we got to be those teams. And Ohio State's been a team that's thrown the ball more than run the ball too, even though they've had a lot of talent at running back. So I guess that's what everybody's becoming now.
Great. Well, makes for more entertaining football than 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
It does, no doubt about that. Hey, thanks, Jeff. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so he's right about that. And and you're funny, even Purdue, who's not a great team, obviously, watching them play a couple of weeks ago, then watching a little bit of them yesterday against Notre Dame, you see an offense developing. You see them trying to stretch the field. You're like, oh, okay, I see what Purdue is trying to do. And yeah, Michigan State last night, putting up numbers against USC, which is not surprising because USC's defense has still not gotten to where they need to be. But that's what you're going to see now in the league. You're going to have to score 30 points to win games, at least during this time of the year. It's going to get cold in some places, and that won't be the case. It's going to be cold in Penn State. It's going to be cold in Michigan. It's going to be cold in Michigan State. It's going to be cold in Wisconsin. It's going to get cold. But as of right now, this time of the year, you've got to put up 30 points. That's what you're going to have to do. Let's go back to the phones. That's where Jake is this morning. What's up, Jake?
Hey, how you doing, Michael? Good to hear you on the radio, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Hey, I was curious, and I'm wondering, if the season kind of continues like it does, and the line, does what they did yesterday, and it looks that way, and there's a lot of stacks, what would be the chances of Raiola moving on and going to another school? And I guess that's my question.
Wow, Jake. I mean, that's a tough question. I will tell you one thing. He didn't sound happy in the press conference when he was talking about the booing that came from the stands before the end of the half.
Yep.
So you never know. I mean, he wants to win, I'm sure. But remember this: they're not going to play a lot of Michigan defensive lines. There's not a ton of those in the league and on the schedule. So this is probably the best defensive line they're going to face all year.
Yep.
If it makes you feel any better.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Jay. I appreciate it. I understand what you're saying. You got a quarterback who wants to go to the NFL, who wants to make his mark, who wants to win a bunch of games. And if it's a situation where he's standing back there and he's just taking shots all game, I understand that. But this is, if you check out what Michigan has done these last couple of years, and they've kind of changed the way they play a little bit, right, from when Harbaugh was there. But if you check them out on defense, the one thing they do well is they've got those athletic rush ends who give all of the tackles problems. Now, Penn State's got a nice defensive line. I don't know if it's as good right now as Michigan's is. We've seen what USC's defensive line is, and they give up a lot of yards, although they do get some sacks as well. Maybe Minnesota you could talk a little bit about, but they weren't that dominant last time I saw them. There's really nobody else on the schedule. I mean, Iowa can get to the quarterback. It's a different way than what Michigan does, but Iowa can get to the quarterback. Nebraska's not going to face other defensive lines like this. They got to get better, yes, but I don't think the challenge will be as great as it was yesterday. Take another phone call before we take a break. Let's go to Craig. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. Say, I wanted to just talk a little bit about a defensive pet peeve.
Yeah.
And if I could, I would set the table with a little historical context. Hey, shotgun, ace back set, doubles, motion to empty.
Okay.
1991 against Washington, they broke the game open with motion to empty, bump out the middle linebacker quarterback draw. 2 years ago, watching your daggone New Orleans Saints put Taysom Hill in specifically against the Panthers, motion to empty, quarterback draw. And yesterday, Nebraska does the same thing on the same motion to empty. You know, you can ask your D tackles to try to stop a quarterback draw. And if it's Tom Brady, maybe they have a chance. But if it's a running quarterback, you're just going to struggle. So I say adjust the coverage. Hey, check to a base cover 3. Keep your middle linebacker in the spot and take away the Q draw before you're worrying about the pass game. But just the old pet peeve. You see it every now and then. No. And these coaches, Butler and Snow and McBride and Evero, they know more defense than I do in my little finger. But that little snafu, it just sure hurts.
No, I agree. And what has to happen, especially on those plays, is Nebraska's doing those loops, right? They're doing those stunts, and they're opening up the spot, and the fill guys are anticipating pass plays, and obviously what happens is the draw and then, of course, the quarterback draw, those two back-to-back plays.
Well, and I would say the other thing, if you're going to bump the middle linebacker out and open up the entire middle of the field to the running quarterback, then flex one of your tackles back like the old Dallas flex defense.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Give them a chance. But, hey, I think they'll win more than the rest of the game. I think they're on the right track. But daggone it.
Yeah. No, I completely
give points away.
I completely agree with you, Craig. Thank you. And, well, Jay Moore talks about it on Big Red Wrap-Up all the time about how much because since you have a smaller defensive line, you're doing more moves, you're playing more games. And because you're trying to do that to get pressure, you're opening yourself up to holes. And when that hole happens, that next guy, for example, the long run, the first run by Haynes, that is, I think it was first Vincent Shavers, and then I believe it was Buford after that. And both of those guys had chances to make plays and didn't. So give me two guys to have a chance to be able to make that play. Both of them miss it, guy goes 75 yards. On the quarterback draw, there was a little, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but there was a little bit about coaching happening too, where this is a violent chess game. That's what football is, a violent chess game. And there were times where Michigan's moves on the chessboard were better than the counters by Nebraska. And that's going to happen at times. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More went right, what went wrong. Your phone calls, 402-951-1620. Severe Reaction continues here on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
34, 3 receivers left. Dane Key wide right. Snap to Raiola. 4-man twisting rush. Goes an out cut right. Bobbled and intercepted. Cole Sullivan picks it off the deflection. Jair Hill was the one who had the initial tip on it. Then it popped in the air and was intercepted at the 37-yard line by Cole Sullivan, the sophomore linebacker. He falls down to the ground, and Michigan has a 1st and 10 in plus territory.
Yeah, really good job of jumping that route from Michigan. There's not much Lindenmeyer can do outside of maybe working his way back to the quarterback. But pre-snap look, you got to go backside on that one if you're DR.
Husker 37 after the Sullivan pick, right to left, 3-0 Michigan, 17 seconds for the first. 2 wide each way, Underwood shotgun set. Single back Jordan Marshall, motions wide right, snap to Underwood, tucks and runs, has a lane, 35-30, middle of the field, 25-20, left hash of the 10, Underwood is in, touchdown Michigan, 37 yards on the quarterback delayed run up the middle, and Michigan takes a 9-0 lead with 11 ticks left here for the first.
We're in quarters, they go to quarterback draw, we have line movement, take away the empty draw. Someone has to get off and make a tackle. It's a tough play. It's a tough play against that. But if you're getting 5 wides and you run quarterback draw, it's going to be a tough play. You need a D lineman to make a play. We're going to have to, as a team, get past and I think they have. I'm not saying anything about our team, but we're going to have to get past the perfect call world. It's like you have a call, someone there's going to be stress on someone. They're going to have to make a play, and then the long run. We ran some line movement. They blocked it. The ball gets to the safety. It's quarters. You have a fit safety. We just didn't make the tackle. So.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620. I'm going to go back and add this up sometime probably today, but the amount of yards gained on plays where Nebraska had a game up front. Go back to the last caller when he talked about going to empty. This is a play coming right out of the interception, right? So this is coming from the sideline. There's no audible. They anticipate Nebraska being in man. They know that by emptying it out, they're going to take the middle linebacker with the running back. So they know that. And Nebraska essentially takes themselves out of the play with the game they play up front. And it leaves it up to Deshaun McCullough to come off of a block against a tackle. And he's only about a half a step off of that to be able to make this play. That's what has to happen. That's what Coach Rule was talking about, somebody having to make a play. But Nebraska essentially takes themselves out of the play by having Van Poppel come from the inside and run a stunt to the outside. And then you have Petchak go inside. And then, for whatever reason, on it, not only do you have the 2 players that are playing the game, but the third defensive lineman, who is essentially the defensive end on this play, who's playing really a 4-eye, that's Linhart. He is also coming inside. So you've got 3 guys within about 2 yards of each other, all together being blocked by 4 offensive linemen, and the only guy free is Deshaun McCullough to make the play. And again, he sees it, he tries to come off, but he can't. And then after that, it's over because everybody else is in man-to-man, and so there goes the quarterback. It's why, if you ask most people, especially college football fans at this point, if you could choose between having a dual threat quarterback and having a pocket quarterback, you're going to hear dual threat because that kind of thing can be done. But that's just one example of Nebraska playing a game up front and getting beat by it. Let's go to the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Keith is this morning. Good morning, Keith.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just having a Husker hangover this morning.
I understand. I get it.
Hey, Dylan throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and stats say that Stetson Bennett's the first one that's done that to Michigan, other than Dylan, since 2019. The kid's running for his life. The tackles definitely got beat really bad. I guess what concerns me though is, it just seemed like as I was watching this on TV, the linebackers just weren't there. I continued kept calling, oh my God, they're going to run this ball, and there's nobody there.
Right.
And I don't understand where are these linebackers that I don't understand the whole defensive scheme. Obviously a lot of stuff was exposed, and I guess what we're going to find out is like, how good are our coaches at turning this thing around with these players? And then I don't get spending $1 million on a tackle that's third string. I mean, that we just have to go past that. But we've missed out on some bad portal players that we've selected. And special teams, you know, again, it all comes down to 3 points, right? I mean, we can't make that field goal. The last thing I want to say is this real quick before others get on. Last year, when this offensive line was struggling, the difference that they did in the red zone was Ty Robinson. They put him in there at a fullback to help blow the hole out. They need a Ty Robinson. I know he's not there. They need to find somebody big and strong that can help that offensive line blow the hole out. We should not be struggling in the red zone, same as last year. So just want to know your thoughts, and great show, bro.
Hey, Keith, we appreciate it. So this year we've seen Cam Leonard, who's been the person that runs that Ty Robinson fullback role, and did a pretty good job. Of course, we've seen the Heine push and that sort of thing. Yes, you have to run the ball inside the 5. You have to. At the same time, I've talked about this a lot. I'd like to see Nebraska play more bunch. I want to see a 3-man bunch at the goal line, and you know you're going to run some picks. They may call it, they may not. Most times they don't call it, and essentially that third down play. We'll talk about this later when we go over that last drive, that big long 17-play drive. But the first down that they got on 3rd down and 5 or 6, that was a pick. Well, that was essentially a bunch play where your back of the bunch goes out, kind of like on a Y stick, and you hit him and you say, you beat their man. And it allows you also to have the wide receivers out there blocking for you as well. And they don't get a great block. They get a piece of Sierra Wright. He goes over the top of it, tries to make the tackle, doesn't make the tackle. On that quarterback run, yes, in the middle of the field, Vincent Shavers is there before the snap. But they're in man-to-man. His responsibility is the running back. So he goes off for the running back. You know, when you're spread from sideline to sideline, it's what makes college football, and it's actually becoming more in the NFL now, so difficult to defend, is that they not only stretch the field, you know, the 100-yard way, they stretch the field the 52.5-yard way the other way. And you had a flanker that was about 2 yards off the wide side of the field from the sideline, and you got a wide receiver at the bottom of the screen. You're spread that far. Your defensive linemen have to make plays if you're going to run this. They have to. They have to get off of blocks. They have to make plays. Because if you're going to play man-to-man like this, it's exactly what I called it. It's man-to-man. So you have to beat your man. And in this situation, you know, when you've got the other linebacker who is concentrating on the slot receiver and he's got his eyes on him, he can't see the quarterback taking off. He just can't. And once Vincent Shavers sees what's happening, he's 10 yards from the play and can't do anything. But this is the situation you're going to be in if you're D lineman, and especially if you're playing these games, can't make plays against their guy. Let's go to the phones where Scott is. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. How are you?
Good. Always appreciate your show. Hey, Michael, tell me what you think is there. I try to, once I get done being bummed out, I try and focus on what did go pretty well.
Yeah.
Even with all the ugliness, the sacks, the big gas plays, even with all that, and you left 10 out there early on the field, 10 points. You left 4 on the touchdown where the guy steps out of bounds.
Yeah.
So let's assume you get half of those. And still you get down to that last drive. I know you're going to touch on it. 3 third downs there, 1 for 8 before that. I think 2 of them were 3rd and 9, 1 was 3rd and 10.
Yep.
Those were massive. So even with all that, you're still in it. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. And just one quick one. Have you seen another angle on Barney's punt return? If that guy doesn't get that toe, it looked like there was something big on the left, but I couldn't see the rest of the field. Thanks, Michael. Have a good day.
Hey, I appreciate it, Scott. I think he could have gotten the edge. I don't think he would have scored. There was defenders back there who could have gotten over there, but definitely if he doesn't get the toe, and the toe actually caused Barney's 2 feet to hit each other and he went down. If he can stumble through that, I think that he gets maybe 15 yards. He's going to get to the sideline and get pushed out. But yeah, he had an opportunity to get the corner for sure. That's a big part of it. There's too many times where Nebraska does have those opportunities. We've talked about this, where guys go to the ground, right? you go back and you look at Michigan's plays, and two of their smaller wide receivers, 0 and 1, both of those guys had times where they got struck and hit by a Nebraska defender and kept their feet. Nebraska's got to be able to do that. They've got to be able to fight through that kind of thing and be able to gain another 5. The leaky yards stat, after contact stat, that's got to get better because every team that Nebraska's playing is good at it. And if Nebraska can't be good at it, it's hard to equal them. You know what I'm saying? So that leaky thing, either you stop being leaky or you counter it by your guys making guys miss and going through tackles to at least be able to balance the number out. Let's go back to the phones. That's where Devin is. Good morning, Devin.
Good morning. Well, my couple thoughts is it's always the small things. It's situational awareness. You can't have a receiver being just in oblivion and step out of bounds in the end zone like he did, and it wasn't even particularly close that he stepped out. He was a foot and a half out of bounds. That's situational awareness. I didn't realize that we're back to catching punts inside the 3-yard line again.
Yeah.
Apparently that's being taught again. That's situational awareness. Barney, on that punt that you're talking about where he got his right foot, I think, slapped and it tripped him on his left foot. That's happened to me before, but in big picture, if a punt returner is half-ass good, he makes that guy miss. And Barney didn't. I really think the turning point in the entire game was the second and 3 play that Dana threw in that first quarter, that lob to the end zone that has about
the one to Barney, right? The one to Barney, the fade to Barney.
Yeah, we have about a 5% chance of completing that.
Yeah, don't throw it to Barney. Throw it to a big receiver.
That was a horrid call. That was the turning point of the game because then it's third and 3, and then obviously we didn't make the first down. But then the decision not to kick the field goal and take the points, they probably would have liked to have 3 more points at the end of the game, don't you think?
But they also would have liked to have the 7, so that's why they went for it. I get what you're saying. It's always easy to say that. At the time, I thought they should have gone for it. I thought they were moving the ball really well. I didn't like the play call, but I thought they should have gone for it. I really do. I mean, you have to take those chances if you're going to beat Michigan.
Well,
I understand what you're saying. I completely understand. But if you can't pick up 1 yard with your offense, you got bigger problems.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Devin. Appreciate it. I understand what you're saying. I don't like a fade to Barney. I think if you're going to throw that fade, throw it to a bigger receiver. You got guys who can go out there and get that ball. I do. I was for them going for it on 4th down. I thought they had good momentum. You go get that first down, and then you score, and you're up 7-0, and you're feeling great. Even after that, they stop them, force the punt. Barney makes a good decision on the punt. Ball's to 30. Go score there. He missed the field goal. It's one thing after another. Captain was talking on the YouTube stream about the defensive line not making the play. Well, actually, it's Deshaun McCullough was who I was talking about. So he's a linebacker. but he's lined up on the defensive line. Deshaun McCullough is probably the only guy that can make the play. I don't think the linebackers are bad. I think the defensive line is undersized when it comes to being good at run defense. I think because of that, they're forced to play more games and do more stunting, which causes the holes in the line of scrimmage and causes most of the big plays. It all goes back to the lack of size they have on D-line that forces them to do extra things. I think McCullough can be a very good jack kind of linebacker, a pass rusher. I think Vincent Shavers, who probably had one of the best defensive games, even though he missed the tackle as well, probably had one of the best games. I think that Dawson Merritt's going to be a really good linebacker. He needs to put on 10 more pounds, 15 more pounds of muscle. He's just a true freshman. There are guys on this team at the linebacker position, but they're putting you in a position, the offense is, by the scheme you play, to have to make plays with your defensive line, and then, if not the defensive line, it's your safeties. That's your problem. So, yeah, I don't believe in having to take point. I don't believe in any rules when it comes to football, because it's all about the way you feel. That's why you don't even bring up analytics as much, because, again, it's about the way you feel at that moment. The analytics can tell you what the probability is, but tell me how you're playing at that point. How are you playing? Nebraska was moving the ball. Dillon was making guys miss. He was making throws. They're sitting there with 4th and 1. I'm sorry, again, it's like the commercial about the detergent that gets blood out of your clothes. If you got blood in your clothes, you got other problems besides your detergent. If you can't get 4th and 1, you got other problems. That's 6 times now Nebraska has gotten a situation where they have failed to get a touchdown, where they either ended in downs twice, kicked 2 field goals, had a fumble. I mean, that's 5 times. Excuse me. You've got to be able to get that first down. On that play, whatever you want to call, you've got to get it and go up 7-0. That's what championship teams do. Let's go back to the phone before we take a break. Go ahead, Jake. What's going on?
Hey, Mike. I agree with you. Yeah, go for it on 4th down, no doubt. Right? You got to be aggressive. I wanted to get your take on, the pressure that we were seeing from Michigan. Why? I mean, Dillon just seemed to kind of fall down. And I don't know if he's supposed to be like a mobile quarterback. I thought maybe he would be more mobile than he was supposed to. But I feel like sometimes stepping up in the pocket, he could have made some plays and not just kind of crumble. I think that was the frustrating part of the game, and I wanted to see what you thought of that.
Well, he's not an athletic. I mean, he's an athlete, obviously, but he's not a guy that's going to make a lot. He did make a couple guys miss. If that pass to Dane Key that he made where the free rusher came right at him, he made him miss and made that throw towards the near sideline. That's an athletic play. But when you've got 3 guys and he's got to make all 3 of them miss, then he's not going to do it. I would like for him to get rid of the ball faster. I would like for him to be able to climb the pocket, which he does a lot, climb the pocket and get rid of the ball and give his wide receivers or tight ends a chance to make a play. I think at times he's trying to be a little too perfect and make a throw to an open guy. A guy is open when he is between you with the ball in your hand and the defender, and that's when you have to make the throw. And I'd like to see that a little bit more, but overall, he was battling. He was battling. He was taking some shots. He's not the guy that's going to get out of the pocket and take off running. In this offense with Dana Holgorsen, you have to be able to have successful inside zone runs. You do. You have to. That's why they practice it so much. That's why they go live with inside zone during the offseason, during the fall camp, because you have to be able to do it. Things come off of inside zone. You've got to be able to run that. And if it's not just inside zone in that method, we're talking like, running duo or ISO. I don't care. Inside the tackles, you have to be able to produce yards. And right now, I don't know if they can do that. So maybe that's why they go to the shovel pass or whatever else. But there have been times where they've been inside the 5 and they have scored. We saw it later in the game. They ran essentially the exact same play. Instead of running the inside, they threw it to the outside and they scored a touchdown. So they ran the exact same play they ran when they didn't get the first down. They ran it later and got a touchdown. So it can work. You just have to be able to make the right decision, and that's on Dylan because it's an RPO. He's got to make the right decision, and maybe that comes along with more experience. The thing about Dylan is, you know how many starts he's had, right? With less than 15 starts, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, yes, 15 starts, 16 starts. He is still a young quarterback. He's got to make those decisions. He's got to be able to make the right play. That's what I'm saying. We'll take a break. We'll come back. 402-951-1620 is the number. We'll get into that drive before we get to Steve Sipple after 9 o'clock. We'll get into the drive, which might be go back to being one of the most critical of the season. Nebraska can't get stops on third down. We'll do that. Also brought to you by Equitable Bank, where they take banking seriously. I talked to Old Man Doug at the Blur Party tailgate before the game. He and his lovely wife. I know they were very excited for the game. We appreciate Equitable Bank being a part of the sponsorship. And also Nebraska Medicine, there to help you. Check them out on the website. They are looking for you to help them out as well. They are hiring right now at nebraskamed.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back here on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
44-yard attempt for Cunetta, who's 4-4 on the year. Inside the far left hash, Camden Cook to hold, Kevin Gallick to snap. Snap back hold is down. The kick was partially tipped. It felt like it's end over end and no good. I heard a little nick as that ball was sailing towards the uprights. Didn't have a whole lot of leg behind it and sailed wide right. So that's the first miss for Kyle Cunetta this year. He's now 4 of 5 on the season.
Analytics are 4th and 3 is a go. 4th and 4 you should go. So it's not even close, right? I mean, if you want to beat Michigan, you're gonna have to get those plays, right? I mean, we're gonna have to get those plays. So that was a good. We ran a speed sweep with a quarterback read. I mean, you have 3 options there. It's kind of the same thing we did at the end, right? We just twice 4th and 1, and then at the goal line we're running RPOs. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just we're not gonna trick our way into things. You got to play. You got to make the plays, right? So it's just like we're gonna give our guys a chance to make the play. On that one, unfortunately, we didn't. But then they punted the ball right back to us. We had the ball at the 30-yard line. So, similar some of the things we talked about, right? Inside the 5, right? Like things we have to be better at. But at the same time, there are other times we did make the play.
Welcome back to your reaction here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Equitable Bank. Take banking personally and answer the phone on the first ring, and Nebraska Medicine as well. Let's go back to the phones. This is where Greg is. Hey, Greg, what's up?
Good morning, Michael.
Hey.
I was just going to maybe add a little something. You're talking about Dylan growing as a quarterback, not having, a ton of starts under his belt. Is it something would be nice to see him be willing to throw the ball away when they're throwing on first or second down? Third, I understand, completely different matter. You're trying to get that first down. But on first and second down, it's, to avoid the sack is what I'm saying on first and second down. Because second and 17, third and 17, whole different from second and 10, third and 10. So it'd be nice to see him kind of grow a little bit in that area.
I agree, Greg. I appreciate the phone call. That's what led to Nebraska having an average of 9.7 yards to go on third down because of those. Now, Nebraska on first down, they had 32 first down plays at 136 yards, so that's 4.3 yards. Rushing, 4.5, so they ran the ball their best on first down. And passing, 10 of 17 for 73 yards. He's only sacked once on first down. But, 7.9 is what Michigan was on first down. Of course, one of the big plays, or two of the big plays were on first down, so that makes sense. But Nebraska first down actually better than they have been. Real quick, before let's take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll do that drive where, obviously Michigan kind of helped put the game away, and Nebraska had a chance to get some stops. Again, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Answer the phone on the first ring, and by Nebraska Medicine as well. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to that drive here on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Raiola under center, single back Johnson. Takes a snap, play fake. Deep top Raiola, free rusher comes, he eludes, stands tall, zips one near left, grab made by Dane Key at the 21. Medica first down, gain of 21 yards. Somehow DR stayed upright and was able to zip one downfield. It was Mangum who came in untouched. Johnson, right hip of Raiola, takes a snap. Frontside pressure comes, robs one up the seam. It's Barney. He's got it. Touchdown Huskers, 26 yards. With 2:01 to go in the first half, Nebraska a point after away from tying this game at 10.
I mean, number one, I thought for them was magnificent. I mean, Barsham was he was a handful, and thought we settled down as it went on and protected better for a while. But still some key moments where it wasn't good enough. And then obviously the run game for them, 2 plays in the first half, but just too many big plays to win a football game like that. So we battled, appreciate the effort of the guys, but wasn't good enough.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620. Brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Answer the phone on the first ring. And Nebraska Med. NebraskaMed.com to find out more about the careers they have to offer at Nebraska Medicine. All right, by the way, that highlight, the first one that Joey played, that's the one where he makes a future NFL safety miss in the pocket and makes the throw to Dane Key for 21 yards. Obviously, Dylan's never going to be athletic enough or mobile enough for most of the people here in Nebraska, but that is a pro move. He made a free safety who was coming in, miss, and then made a throw for a first down. So sometimes he does good things. That drive at the end of the game, the 17-play drive for 77 yards. Michigan gets the ball with 12:40 on the clock. The first third down is 3rd and 5. Michigan goes 3-by-1. They get in that tight bunch set I'm talking about that I like. Underwood throws the ball short of the sticks with confidence that the blockers he has is going to take out whoever Nebraska has and be able to get the first down. Well, Sierra Wright makes the blockers miss and meets the wide receiver, Morgan, 3 yards short of the first down. So that's right at the 40. He makes that tackle, drive over. They're punting it back to Nebraska. About 11:30 left on the clock. Instead, Sierra slips off of him, goes for the first down. There you go. Next play, 3rd and 9. This time, the Michigan 45-yard line. Notice, Michigan isn't gaining a lot on 1st and 2nd down on this drive. So again, 3-by-1 again, this time bottom of the screen. They have wider sets. They're not in a bunch. Nebraska decides, John Butler goes, we're going after them this time. We're going to blitz them. Now, I think it's fairly obvious by looking at Underwood looking over the sideline that the folks sending him the play in or the audible saw the coming blitz, so checked to a screen. We're going to get 3 offensive linemen out into the pattern, running back catching the ball. We're going to go get this first down on 3rd and 9. McCullough, who is a really good athlete, immediately on the snap, drops back into the zone he's supposed to be in, the flat area where he's supposed to be in. In that flat area, he is quick enough to get past the offensive linemen that are out to block for the screen. Problem is, Justice Haynes is a pretty good player, makes him miss. He gets one hand on Justice Haynes, that's it, can't take him down. Runs for 16 yards, you got a first down. Now, that's a tough play coming from where McCullough was to where he had to be, but that's a play that he has to make. A play we've seen made this season by some Nebraska players. I know Andrew Marshall made this play, a very similar play, against Cincinnati on a play where if he misses it, Cincinnati scores a touchdown on that play. But McCullough comes up, gets the hand on him, doesn't get him down. Got to have dudes making plays. This is one where it didn't get made. And then the final one, 3rd and 10, Nebraska 39-yard line. A chance to stop them, force a long field goal. Maybe they have to go for it. Maybe they punt. This is a situation where I believe there's a little bit of out coaching happening here. This is Michigan's offensive play call better than what Nebraska had on defense. So Underwood checks to that inside run as a 4-man rush from Nebraska. Neweri is outside, engaged with the offensive tackle. Linhart is inside, probably being held by the guard. He is probably being held, but he's blocked. So now it's time for the linebackers in the secondary to make plays. Those guys are engaged. They can't get off being engaged. It's time for them to come up and make the play. So here's the interesting thing about this is when they fake the blitz, so your two safeties or one safety, one linebacker are both retreating. So as they retreat, the two safeties, they both back up into their deep coverage, right? So 21 is backed up to the point where he's almost 20 yards off the ball. And your two linebackers, I called them safety, the two linebackers, 0 and 8, are backing off. So once the runner gets through the line of scrimmage, you've got Sierra Wright blocked by 17, the tight end. Wright, I mentioned, had bluffed the blitz, so he's retreating. He's got to stop and come forward. The guard, 51, gets in there, helps pick off Sierra Wright as well. 21 had taken that deep drop I was talking about at safety because he's expecting a pass play. By the time he comes downhill and takes a bad angle, he can't get involved. Andrew Marshall is getting blocked. Really and truly, the guy that has to make this play is retreating off of the snap because they've bluffed the blitz. He's got to stop and come back and get back to the ball and can't. Justice Haynes too fast, couldn't get to it. It's a violent chess game, as I said earlier. Maybe Neweri could squeeze in. Maybe. Linhart maybe gets off the block, but I think he's being held. And if 21 doesn't take as a deep a drop, maybe he can get down there and make the tackle before the first down. But this is, I believe, out coaching. This is a great play call against the right defense, called at the wrong time, first down. This essentially puts the game away. They run 5 more plays. They kick a field goal. In the end, 77 yards, 16 plays, 8:46 off the clock. As Matt Rule said, sometimes you just got to make a play. Somebody's got to make a play. And Michigan had more bras making plays last night than Nebraska did. And maybe there's a little out coaching there as well. More of Severe Reaction. Hour number 2, Steve Sipple, brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Nebraska Medicine. Go to nebraskamedicine.com for more information about employment opportunities. We're back with hour number 2 here on Severe Reaction on 1620 Zone.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
They're in it right now. 2:01 for the half, tied at 10. Ball to 25 of Michigan, left to right. Two wide right, Underwood, shotgun set. Takes a snap, holds it out. Justice Haynes sprints left, has a lane. There he goes, 40. Across midfield, Haynes to the 40, 35, 30, left sideline, 20. Justice Haynes is in. Just like that for a Michigan touchdown.
Another player, too. I mean, honestly, it sounds boring, but, step out of one, make a tackle here, and all of a sudden the game changes. And that's, you go back and forth in a Big Ten game like that. I mean, it ends up 30-27. It's, get the onside kick. You could have told me we were going to go down and score. I mean, the way we were playing. So you just have to make one or two more plays.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Severe Reaction, 1620 The Zone. Nebraska loses 30-27 to the Michigan Wolverines. Let's talk more about it with the columnist for HuskerOnline.com, podcaster for HuskerOnline.com, and generally just a good dude. Stephen M. Sipple joining us here on Severe Reaction. Good morning, Sip.
You sound chipper, Michael.
Well, you know what I always believe? No matter what, you bring energy to the day, and everything will be fine if you do that. So that's what I try to do. I bring energy.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what he was not a great coach here, but that coach they brought in to play to be a defensive coordinator in 17 said, every day I wake up and my feet hit the floor, they're on fire. That's my theory. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Sip. Yeah. I asked you at the beginning of the season what position that Nebraska didn't necessarily fill through the portal would be the bigger miss. Is it the running back spot or the defensive line spot? After watching what you watched last night, do you have an answer to that question?
It's close. I mean, it's like a horse race, and it's neck and neck. Now you got to start thinking about the offensive line a little bit too.
Oh yeah, but they went in there and they actually filled from the portal in that spot. Maybe didn't work out, but they filled that one.
Oh, I mean, Nebraska yesterday rushed for 43 yards
after sacks.
Okay. After sacks,
right?
Michigan rushed for 286.
Yes, sir.
If you would have told me going in, Michigan's going to rush for 286 and Nebraska's going to rush for 43, I'd say there's no way Nebraska's going to win unless Dylan is just on fire. And there's no way Dylan Raiola could be on fire yesterday because he was under so much pressure most of the day. 36 Michigan quarterback pressures.
Yeah.
7.
Right.
So now you know what? Now that we're talking out loud here, and not just the voices in my head, it is sort of astounding. Nebraska was close. It's kind of in striking distance much of the game.
So, and thanks to Husker Online for this, for going through the numbers. The PFF had, and I thought it was 50% before I saw the numbers. 24 of the 49 dropbacks were under pressure, and they blitzed him 23 times. But you know what? Compared to last year, he's actually much better against the blitz than he was as a freshman. But at times, he just didn't even have time to be able to make that movement to be able to make the throw, right? So the tackles are the biggest issue in your opinion?
Yeah, it looked like it yesterday. Yeah, and if you look at those grades that you referred to, it's pretty glaring that it was the tackles that were the issue, not the interior linemen. So, yeah, I mean, you also have to factor in, I just think there was times when there were routes that couldn't get developed. There were routes that didn't have time to be developed.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, I know what people are going to say. Sipple's the biggest Raiola apologist there is. And I probably am, actually. But I thought he somehow weathered that storm and made some, I'd say, borderline miraculous throws. And I don't just mean a couple. I'm saying 6 to 7. So I don't know. You just better hope they're not going to face a team that's twitchy on the edges all the time.
Yeah. Stephen M. Simple joining us from Husker Online. We are the antithesis because I am not the biggest defender of Dylan Raiola. I think that he's got some issues. I'm with you. He made, well, we played the highlight earlier. He made a future NFL safety miss on a free rush and made a great throw outside the hashes to Dane Key. That's an NFL play, right? But I think Nebraska fans, because of what you guys grew up with, they just love the dual threat guy. And so if a guy can't be dual threat, they don't think that he's good enough in the pocket to be able to win big games.
Well, I mean, there's always that discussion, and I understand it. I mean, I don't know what to say. Dylan is what he is, and this game's not on Dylan. It's on the line of scrimmage, full side.
Yeah,
that's just there's no way I can read those numbers and that anybody could argue against what we just said.
Yeah,
the numbers glaring, and what Biff Poggi said to his team at halftime was exactly right. We're whipping them on the line of scrimmage. Nebraska got whipped on the line of scrimmage, okay?
Yep.
I mean, there doesn't have to be a whole lot of discussion about anything else this week. They got buried at the line of scrimmage, okay?
Yep.
I mean, now it's irritating that people are pecking away at Dylan Raiola. And if you are doing that, you don't know football. That's what it boils down to.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't think it was on Dylan. I will say, and I know this is always a hard question, but a little bit about coaching their offense versus Nebraska's defense. It certainly seemed like they were one step ahead on a lot of plays where Nebraska appeared to be in bad position because of the better play call versus not as good a defensive play call. Did you feel that at all watching the game?
It's a feeling. I haven't rewatched the game. It felt like Nebraska had to take some chances defensively, and a few times they took chances and it blew up, and kind of blew up in their face. A few times they took chances and it looked okay. Michael, it's just hard when you're getting beat up front.
I know.
I don't know. There's no magic. I don't even know that I would hang it on John Butler. I just think they got beat up front. I did see highlights. I watched highlights.
Yeah.
If you watch, for instance, the run play by not Justice Haynes, the other running back,
Marshall, right?
Yeah, number 23. They just got whipped bad at the line of scrimmage on that.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a defensive tackle that was pushed way out of the play. And then it kind of starts from there. So, I mean, they got moved around a lot, Michael.
And
it was pretty.
At times,
go ahead.
I'm just saying, so at times, obviously that's true, and we talked about this before. I always say you got to have a lot of bros on your team. You got to have dudes. So on the run by Haynes, though, they run their little game. That's fine, but Vincent Shavers has got a shot at him, and then I believe it's Buford after him. And neither one of those guys make contact.
Right.
So the defensive line took up the guys they were supposed to take up. It was on the other two guys to make the play, and obviously it didn't happen.
Good news is they were in position to make the play. Again, you can't hang that on Butler.
No.
Also the good news is teachable. But I don't know how much people want to hear that at this point. I mean, especially as it applies to Buford, who's he's a senior. Shavers is still young. He makes plays, but there's a lot of cleanup that has to be done with Shavers. He's very explosive, but he's not always reliable.
Yeah, and he is. I mean, he's a true sophomore, right? Or is he a redshirt freshman? I think a true sophomore. And I think he graded better than almost anybody on the defense. He did have that one play. But one thing that we have to talk about to look for the positive is they are really young, and they have a lot of guys. And this team, even though they're going to lose some seniors, I know it. You look at some of the positives, Nweri, Shavers, Donovan Jones, even Mario Buford played some plays in there I saw. So there is a little bit to look ahead of and go, they're getting these guys experience now. This is the next generation. Maybe you could see some stuff better in the future.
Odd conversation because the team is young if you just go by depth chart numbers, 39 players who are sophomores and below, so sophomore or freshman, 39 on the 2 deep. Now that's not just 2 per position, because on the 2 deep sometimes they'll go 4.
Sure,
but that's a lot. That is a lot. Now, number one, people don't want to hear it too much because year 3 and Indiana happens, and then they also don't want to hear it because they've heard it, and they also don't want to hear it because there are veterans. There's enough veteran presence on the team that you can have a nice season, and they could still have a nice season. But you know what? Well, we're talking about it. I didn't see the issues at tackle being that glaring yesterday. That is what surprised me the most about that game, Michael. That Michigan, early in that game, you could tell by Nebraska's second series, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Right.
I mean, they were getting into the backfield so fast, and it was collapsing quick. And I just thought, I told Sean, there's no remedy for that.
Well, there is. So, like, I thought 1, 4, and 8 coming into the game were the difference makers, right? But I also thought they would chip. I thought 8 was too. Actually, 8 had better stats coming in because obviously 1 missed a half a game. But I thought they would chip more. I thought they would help with tight ends, knowing that they would have to stop a more athletic pass rush. I'm surprised how many times those guys were one-on-one. Really, there's no way I'm not putting Prohaska, who is that tall, who can't bend, against that guy one-on-one all those times, and Gunner early as well. I don't understand that play calling wise.
On both sides.
Yeah, you can chip with the back and you expand by having, and you saw this, they brought 89 in, Turner, to be that extra jumbo, right? They brought that in. So there are things you can do to be able to work. You max protect, you make your wide receivers have to beat them. There are things you can do. You can't let yourself just get whipped. You got to cover your backside with a hand or something.
We're getting home at 3. I mean,
I look, yeah, it was mainly 95 inside and those 3 guys I named on the outside, but there were about half the time where they weren't under pressure, and that's when you got to make your hay. And the times when you don't, you got to chip, you got to help those guys. It sucks, but they're not going to play another D line like this, though. Sip. This is the best D line they play, and I think it's better than Penn State's. They're going to play all season.
Well, that's reassuring.
It is reassuring. Yes, it is reassuring. So what do you tell, and this is your job as a columnist, what do you tell the fans who have seen this? And I hate this, but it feels like deja vu all over again. You're starting a conference season 0-1. You're losing another ranked team. What do you tell the fan base about the rest of this season?
Well, it's going to sound a little hypocritical based on my tone earlier, but don't overreact. I mean, they will address this stuff. And the fact is, they were in striking distance. They didn't get their doors blown off in this game. There was a level of fight that I appreciated throughout the afternoon. When it was, even in the first half, it's like they were going to go down 17-0. And I thought this could get out of control, but it didn't. It didn't get out of control. They made it a game, but and there's enough skill position talent that opponents do, I'm sure, look at Nebraska and say, okay, this is formidable because of Dillon and the skill positions. They do have enough talent on the defense to make offensive coordinators think. So there's a lot there. I think what it comes down to me is you got to grind to 8 wins. It's going to be a grind. You're not going to beat many teams easily, if anybody. It's going to be very difficult every Saturday. That's the way I look at this. It's going to be very difficult every Saturday, starting against Michigan State in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's not going to be an easy game.
Right.
If you win it at all, it'll probably be close. So that's the kind of season you're looking at. You can still get 8. You can still make progress, but it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a lot of games like that one yesterday, where you just got to, as a fan, you just got to say this is going to be very uncomfortable most of the day.
2 things I have. We'll let you go. They're both Raiola things. One, his comments about the fans booing before the half.
Yeah.
Sounded frustrated in that. And then I was shocked when I woke up this morning to see the amount of national people ripping on him about the Mahomes thing, including NFL reporters, which I was surprised to see.
What was the Mahomes thing?
Well, they lose this game, and there's, James Palmer, NFL Network, criticizing him for his imitation of Mahomes and trying to look like Mahomes and all this. It's very strange. It's out there nationally. Do you think that maybe he needs to try to move away from that in a way, or that he can't? And then what'd you think about his comments about the booing?
I think the Mahomes thing is harmless. He's a kid. When I was a kid, I thought I was Larry Bird, and I support myself. I don't see that as an issue at all. I thought he spun out of the comments about the fans pretty well. I think he started to, I was listening to him, and I thought he started to go down a road that you don't want to travel.
Yeah.
And then he spun out of it okay. I thought he was okay.
Yeah.
I thought he emerged from that okay. And I don't even know what he was talking about. Did you hear Booth?
We can't, we can't hear then. But I think people were upset because the clock was running down and they couldn't figure out what Nebraska was doing. They're like, "Why are you being so conservative?" So I wouldn't be surprised. I was critical in the booth on Twitter. I thought, "What are you doing? Why are you being so conservative?" But we were all wrong because they hit the Hail Mary,
Yeah, and it was strange management on both sides.
Yeah.
Thing. I don't know what was going on there, but I hear that Mahomes talk all the time, and for some reason, I just think the way I look at it, is Dylan's a kid. He's still pretty young,
right?
And that's his idol. So
yeah.
I don't know why it has to be a talking point with adults.
This is silly, but I wanted to be Willie Stargell, and I had no chance to be Pop. So I understand what you're saying.
I love it. We are family.
That's right, exactly. That's what I wanted to be.
I like the Cobra.
Oh, I love the Cobra. One of the greatest left arms in the history of baseball. What a cannon. R.I.P. to the
big wet band. Those were great.
I know. I love those guys.
In center field.
Yeah, I love those. That team was incredible. Yeah. Sip, I appreciate it. Enjoy the down week, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, Willie. See you later.
All right, Sip. Let's take a quick break. Of course, brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and Nebraska Medicine. We'll take a break. We'll come back. John, stay right there. And your phone calls, 402-951-1620 here on Severe Reaction.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Some of those jump ball guys out there, Quinn Clark, Dane Keith, along with Lindemeyer, 3 receivers right, Barney's wide left. Oscar 48. Snap to Raiola, rolls right, looks downfield to the numbers. Raiola plants, launches, far right side of the end zone, jump ball. Was it caught? Was it caught?
Unreal.
Touchdown, Huskers! Ja'Cory Barney on a prayer. 52 yards.
Unbelievable how Michigan managed that clock. And Nebraska said, anything you can do, I can do better. The gift that keeps on giving. And let's do the math. 15. 5 minus 1 is 4. Plus 2, the deuce, who got loose, is 6. Give me all of them.
Second and long. So, the last thing I want to do is give them the ball back, right? So I let the clock run down, I think, to 25 seconds and called timeout so that we could run a third down play. Third down play didn't work out quite what we wanted, right? So I anticipated them calling timeout and trying to make us punt. Luckily for us, our punter's, pretty good at getting outside the pocket, so I wasn't worried about a block, but I anticipated them calling timeout with 12 or 13 seconds and trying to block the punt. When they didn't do that, I let the clock run down to 1 and called timeout and said, throw the Hail Mary. So, the only thing to me about this game I didn't want to do is have any regrets of, we didn't try. We didn't try to play.
How was that Hail Mary? And did you think it might carry over from momentum? What is that like, though, to complete the pass and hear the crowd explode?
Yeah, we were getting booed. So, I love that. It sucks when your home crowds boos you. But, once again, we appreciate them, everything they do. But, it's cool now. But you don't win the game, it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. So, it's what it is.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Jump into the phone calls. We're behind on breaks. Good morning, John. How are you?
Hi. Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, to carry your point on, I think this game was lost entirely on our coaches. I think when you have an opening drive and it's 2nd and 3 from the 7 and you're throwing a fade pass that Raiola hasn't made all year and you don't kick a field goal, that's a coaching decision that came back to bite us. I also think when you're getting overpowered and your offensive line can't block, that to put a non-running quarterback in an empty backfield is a setup for disaster. And Raiola was amazing for what he does under pressure, and he's a gift when he has time to throw, but he's also a liability when he doesn't step up or he has to run. And then I don't understand why on a defense we did not load the box and put pressure on their quarterback to make decisions and run. They have wide receivers who don't have very good hands and put the onus on our defensive backs to cover them one-on-one and make their quarterback uncomfortable. And then the only other thing I would have to say is you look at our general manager who are some of our NIL players did well, but it was a complete whiff on our offensive tackle NIL player who we wasted money on, and that hurt us yesterday. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
I appreciate it, John. I think their wide receiver core is better than most. I think they could have had a bigger game, obviously, if they quarterback struggled a little bit with some of his accuracy. But you're talking about that second down play, 2nd and 3. You're on the Michigan 7, and you throw the fade to Barney, a little overthrown. I'd like to see that to a bigger wide receiver. I think you make that throw to Isaiah Hunter, who did catch it earlier in the season, to Dane Key, maybe to Quinn Clark. I'd like to see it to one of those guys opposed to being the smallest receiver you have out there. But the smallest receiver also did out-jump everybody and catch the Hail Mary as well. Back to the phones. That's where Steve is. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. How are you feeling?
Good. Real good. Hey, I apologize if I'm echoing a lot of things here. I'm calling from the West Coast.
Okay.
I'm getting into the show kind of late. But anyway, I just did hear the caller prior to me, and I will echo that, is that it is amazing to me how badly we're getting beat at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And some of the play calls that were made. Of all the 7 sacks that we had yesterday, Michael, Do you know offhand if we went with an empty set on those 7 sacks?
I do not know. And I know at least 3 of the sacks.
It's amazing to me that we didn't do more chip blocking. Have an H block
I'm with you.
tight end.
I know. Yeah, I'm with you on the chip blocking. They were
just astonished by that.
They'd actually, on one of the sacks, they did chip and beat both the lineman and the chipper. So, yeah. But not, at least 3 of them, I think, were empty sets.
Right. And another thing I just want to mention is, you know what's a real troubling stat?
What?
I think after yesterday, we might be last in the Big Ten, or maybe Purdue is right under us. Only 42.92% of our plays are running plays.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you cannot run the ball in the Big Ten, and you can't stop the run, those are our 2 biggest problems. And defensively, we're 128th in the country. We're allowing 6.2 yards per carry.
I know.
This recipe going forward, I'm sorry, you're not going to win the Big Ten.
No,
it's just astonishing to me. I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted at what Rule said when he got the job. He goes, "This is Big Ten play. I'm going to run the ball, and I'm going to stop the run." This is what he said. But I don't know. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate your show as always.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. No, I know this is a passing team, man. And I know that Holgerson said before the season that they're going to run the damn ball, but that's what they're built on. They brought in 2 $800,000 receivers. They have a quarterback who's a former 5-star, and this is going to be a passing team. We know that. Nebraska 128th, as you mentioned, giving up 6.2 yards a carry. They gave up 3.4 last year at the end of the year. Real quick, let's go to the phones before we take a break. Go ahead, Spencer. What's happening?
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm okay, man. How are you?
I'm good. I really love your show. I've been listening for a while. First time caller, and I actually, yesterday was my first game, Husker game, and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, awesome. Where do you live in Philly?
I live actually like Newtown Square. So
Okay.
I live in suburbs of Philly.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Cool. Great. Well, congratulations on your first game.
My dad's even going to the Eagles-Rams today, but it was loud. The first quarter of that game was louder even than any Eagles game. I mean, it was a great atmosphere yesterday.
I agree. And I think they had, in that first drive, they had Michigan on their heels. They just couldn't finish.
They really did, and I didn't even mind that call. But what I really wanted to talk to you about is I am worried about this offense, actually. And really, Dylan's best play was a ridiculous play in the second quarter when there was a free rusher, and Dylan evaded him to hit Dainty down the left sideline. But really, I thought the O-line at times protected. But in this Holgerson offense, Dylan looks around, and there's a lot of 6-yard curl routes. And if Michigan was right on top of him, Dylan didn't have anybody open at a lot of times. So I'm very worried, actually, about this Holgerson offense. And I also wanted to tell you this, just from watching the game yesterday. Michigan even gave Nebraska a ton of breaks. That double reverse pass, the guy was wide open. Then Underwood threw an unbelievable pass, and Michigan dropped the ball. So
15-yard penalty on unsportsmanlike conduct, too?
Exactly. I wanted to say, Cincinnati was a really close game. Are you even worried about Michigan State and some of these other Big Ten teams?
I think all the games, and I appreciate your call, Spencer. Congratulations on your first game. I think all the games are going to be, as Sip said a little while ago, that's going to be a grind. It is. And Nebraska have to grind out a bunch of wins. We got to take another break because we're back behind on breaks. We are brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and Nebraska Medicine. We'll go to KG and Larry when we come back here on Severe Reaction.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
There's too much pressure on the quarterbacks, too much sacks. Yeah, I would say it's always a function of everything, but you know, at the end of the day, they overwhelmed us some at times. I did feel like, though, you know, the field got tilted against us a little bit in the second half. I did feel like we kind of progressed a little bit there. You know, at the end of the first half, we moved the ball in the third quarter. So I'll have to go back and look at it. You know, again, I think number one for them is, you know, he was an inside linebacker. They moved after the last game to outside backer, and I thought he was, you know, dominant last week. I think he's a dominant player. But there'll be a lot for us to learn from. But yeah, I mean, our fans are elite. They'll be back out here in 2 weeks when we play Michigan State.
I'm not going to sit here and crown them, but at the same time, I respect them. They rushed hard. They collapsed the pocket, and they did a good job. So, you know, hats off to them.
Welcome back to Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. As the caller said, Nebraska is right at 43%, 119th in run percentage. Purdue is right below them at 120. The team with the lowest run percentage is actually undefeated, sitting at 4-0. Maryland, they're 125th, and they are running the ball at a 40% clip. Probably the best team among the teams that are at the bottom of this list is Maryland, sitting there at what they are so far. 40% run, 60% pass. Go back to the phones. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Hey, I've been listening to a lot of people. I'm not taking the sky is falling approach that a lot of people are taking. A lot of Nebraska fans. What I seen yesterday is, I think a lot of people forget, you know, who we played yesterday too. It is Michigan.
Yep.
I mean, just a couple years removed from a national championship, and that team beat Ohio State last year. So, and I think, one thing I think is what a lot of people are missing is I don't think it's about a talent thing anymore as much in certain places.
Yeah.
You know, we faced, you know, 2 top flight running backs yesterday. I don't know who else we're going to see in the Big Ten that's going to be as good as Justin Haynes. And I think as in years past, I think our receivers can get open. I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I think we're going to be fine. You know, I think everything that happened yesterday can be fixed. I mean, it's just not like before, like a couple years when Michigan came in, they just said, I mean, it was abundantly clear that, you know, we couldn't play with them.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nebraska's in that boat anymore. I think the things that they got to clean up, they need to clean up, and they're going to be a tough out for anyone they play for the rest of the year. I mean, that's just the way I look at it.
No, I agree.
I might be a little bit too optimistic, but I think there's a lot of differences in the team we have now as opposed to the teams we've seen in previous years.
I'm with you, Larry. I appreciate it. Appreciate the call, and I agree with you. I mean, there's positive to take away from the game. Here's the thing, though, the one positive that drives me crazy. Well, I just stopped talking about it. That it was a close loss. That it was a 3-point. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 3 or 30. It doesn't matter. You had momentum in the season that you lost because you didn't beat the team in your house that didn't have their head coach and a freshman quarterback that had enough issues offensively that you should have been able to beat them. That's going to be the bottom line in the whole thing. The other running back that has a bunch of yards that Nebraska will face is Wayman Jordan for USC. He's got over 440 yards so far this season, but you're right. There's not a ton of guys in the Big Ten that are going to come anywhere near to where Justice Haynes is, who is 3rd in the country currently running the ball. Let's go to KG. Good morning, KG. How are you going? How's it going, Kevin?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to hear you. Hey, I know you touched briefly on analytics when Rule said that in the presser. That drove me absolutely nuts. I'm not a big analytics kind of guy. I think football's a simple game. I mean, to me, I think you're overthinking things, and I'm just wondering how much does he rely on analytics to make his decisions for the game? I just thought I'd throw that out there to you. If you already talked about, you might have talked about a little bit, but I just see if you could rehash a little bit for me, or see what do you think about it? Because I'm not a big fan of analytics. Because I mean, certain things I know it's football. I mean, you're going up against Michigan, right?
Yeah.
You got to remember, because you said Big Ten football. I know a caller said earlier about, you got to be dominant and you got to run the ball. You got to do certain things, but then you throw analytics out there on certain plays. I was just like, Guys, I texted you about always take points early in the game. That especially on stuff like that. Yeah, that's just my thought, but I'm not a big fan of analytics. I just think people overthink this game and they think too much about it. And you just go mano on mano. I mean, you just go up there and, play some smash mouth football. And I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe they try to get, how would I say that? Cute? Is that a word?
Yeah,
for
sure.
them? So yeah. I think they try so much. And so that's just my thought. I just want to see what you have to touch base on it. All right, Michael, you have a great day, buddy.
You too, KG. I think analytics is a big part of it. You gotta use everything. I mean, if in your house, when you're trying to figure out your budget, you got to use everything you can to be able to make sure that you get the best out of whatever your housing budget is. For Nebraska's play calling and play and overall, you got to use everything you can. And there is analytics that comes into it, both offensively and defensively, what they're prone to do on a certain down. That's analytics. I still have no problem with them going for it on fourth down there. I understand what people say about getting the points. That's fine. I think you got momentum. You go out there and you get 7. You're not beating them. You're not beating them, settling for field goals because you can't get 1 yard. You're just not. You have to go out there and win the game. And that's what they were trying to do. Was the play call my favorite? No. But they're trying to win the game. Indiana, who blew out Illinois, who really hadn't played anybody this year, according to most people, their run percentage is 62. They're running the ball 62% of the time. Pretty good. Georgia Tech has had a couple big upsets, 73% of the time. Georgia, we know who they are, 60% of the time. Yeah, you can do it both ways. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Ryan, stay right there. We are brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, and Nebraska Medicine. Go to nebraskamed.com. Looking for employment opportunities right now. We'll get Ryan and the rest of you at 402-951-1620 when Severe Reaction continues.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Marshall on the other. Couldn't bring him down. 2nd and 2. Wolverine 46. 3 wide. 2 receivers right. Pistol set for Underwood. Snap and a hand for Marshall. Angles right as a crease across midfield. 45-40. Accelerates 30. 25-20. Jordan Marshall is gone. Touchdown, Michigan. 54 yards. And it's now a 26-17 Michigan lead with 5:40 left for the third.
Yeah, Nebraska's got to start tackling better out of the back end.
So that's a really good football team, and I expect to see them, make a run at the playoff.
I know you don't necessarily run the ball up. You're the quarterback of the whole offense. What do you think the run game is right now for you guys, the running back running?
Yeah, I think it's still explosive. You can't take one game and judge it off of that. I mean, maybe we missed a couple cuts here or could have did something better. There's always that room for error to get better. So I know Emmett's a little frustrated. The O-line's a little frustrated because they take such great pride in the run game. But, like I said, they're going to come back stronger than ever, and we'll see what happens.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620. Finishing drives, Nebraska had 7 successful drives, scoring 5 drives total. You had 42% of the drives were scoring drives out of the 12 total drives. 27 points on those drives. It's only 3.85 a drive. I've talked before, you got to have at least over 4. By the way, Michigan was 5 points on their finishing drives. Failure on 4th down, of course, at the 5-yard line. The missed field goal. Michigan had 6 successful drives total. That's 50% of their drives and scored 30 points. Nebraska had 4 3-and-outs. Michigan had just 2. Both teams, great starting field position. Michigan at 32, Nebraska at the 30. Nebraska ended the night with nearly 10 yards to go on 3rd down, 9.7. So 2.2 out of 12 on 3rd down makes sense. 3 of the first downs that Michigan had, we mentioned on that drive where they basically put the game out of reach. They were 4 of 12 total. Let's go to Ryan. Good morning, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Good. Hey, just a couple thoughts here. I was just, watching the game. Obviously, the offensive line was atrocious. I just don't know why we get sold the same bill of goods every year on the offensive line. But just sitting there watching it, I've just come to the conclusion. I mean, I think Rule is probably about a max 7-8. I think he does a good job of running the program as a CEO. Great job. Not a great in-game coach, game day coach. No, not at all. He's a max 7-8 win guy a year. I'm just not seeing that we're going to be any better than that.
All right, Ryan, appreciate the phone call. Let's go to, damn it, Todd, call back. My fault. Go ahead to Don. Hey, Don, what's happening, man?
Hey, good morning. Love your show. You do a great job going. It's must hear radio for Husker fans. 2 things. One, I think it was 4th and 2. I'm not going to change your mind, Michael, but I think it was 4th and 2. And I read an interesting stat. Last year, Nebraska was absolutely dead last in 4th down conversions. 31% of the time they were able to convert. So I don't know how much changed in the offseason to make you think that Nebraska was going to have success on 4th down. But if we talk analytics, you're the last in college football at 31% in 4th down conversions.
Yeah.
This isn't a number 1 ranked, all-time great Michigan team. It reeks of desperation in my mind, not taking the 3 points there. And then the other thing too is, you run your field goal kicking unit out there, you convert the chip shot. And then when you need them to go out there and kick a 45-yard, they have a little bit of confidence. There's already been a clean snap, a clean kick. Football and any other team sport is about confidence. I just think that was a mistake. I was losing my mind when they decided to go, and I think it was 2 yards, not 1. But
it's 2.
All that being said, I'm not going to change your mind. But here's the other thing: what the heck is going on in Indiana? I turned on the TV last night, and it looks like a whiteout game in Penn State. The fans are, they got some kind of thing they hold in their hands, and they're just going nuts. That guy has absolutely turned that program around. They have no national championships, no Heismans. I don't know what their budget is, but what Signetti has done there is unbelievable. And we don't even interview the guy. those are my thoughts. Appreciate the show. Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate Don. And John, you don't have to change my mind. I understand your point. I do. I get taking the points. I completely do. I personally think they were, like I said, I had good momentum. It was 4th and 2. It was kind of 1.5. They put it at 2 on the chart. I just think that Nebraska needs to be able to go out and get that. And I don't necessarily, and they didn't run the ball. They passed the ball. They passed the ball on 4th and 2 from the 7-yard line. I don't know if I'm going to pass the ball because that's what a shovel pass is a pass. I think I would have taken my chances with most likely an Emmett Johnson run, but there is a chance I would have done something else with Ja'Cory Barney because that's worked a lot. But I get your point. Trust me. I completely get your point. Yesterday, if I remember the number right, Michigan had 8 stuff plays, which means at the goal line or tackle for loss. Nebraska only had 1 stuff play, according to the stats. Todd, Derek, stay right there. One last break. We'll come back, wrap up the calls here on Severe Reaction.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Kyle Kunanen, presumably with an onside kick, teed up at the 35 from left to right. Hands team out there for Michigan. Extra Huskers go to the far side. Kunanen's right now straight on. Now angles to his right. Pounds it into the turf. Pops up in the air. Ball loose. Had a good hop. Michigan recovers at the 45. Kendrick Bell with the recovery. And that should do it here from Memorial Stadium.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone. I will say, and speaking to the captain gentleman in the YouTube chat. You are a defeatist, and that's not what I am. I am not a defeatist. I operate on that. What happens is based off of how you do it, and they had every opportunity on the 4th and 2, 4th and 1.5 to get the first down and go on and score. They were 13 of 16 in the red zone coming into the game. I know they had a fumble in the red zone and a stop and a forced field goal, but you have to win games. We're at a point now where a very once proud program with incredibly proud fans who now talk about only a 3-point loss or, oh, you settle for the field goal, settle for the field goal because that's going to give you that confidence. Or no, man, you want to compete in the Big Ten? You think you aren't settling for a field goal there after that drive? You're not. Come on. Quit being a defeat. Just because there's been so much losing doesn't mean you have to think like a loser. Stop it. Stop thinking like a loser. Think like a winner. Think like a guy who's going to go out there and convert a 4th and 2. Think about it like a guy who's going to go out there and make a play to win the game. That's what it comes down to. Don't give me the because of the field goal they lost. Butterfly effect doesn't work that way. Doesn't. Never know what could have happened. Could have been a blowout even with making the field goal. But in the end, be positive. Don't be defeatist. Go out there and try to make a play. Real quick, let's go to Derek before we have to get out of here. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, I just want to comment on the analytics thing. I feel like if you're a long-term, like this is how I coach and this is how I want to play, or going to be aggressive at all times, I need to teach my team that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
However, when you use analytics in any field, you have to say, does this apply to my situation?
Yeah.
Like if you look at last year, all the teams that went for it against 4th and 1 against Nebraska
failed.
Their analytics, they don't know that Ty and Nash are sitting there.
Yeah.
So many teams failed at 4th and 1 trying to go against Ty and Nash because the analytics said you should just run it here. So
yeah, but Derek, the analytics play into that. They know how many stuff tackles that Ty and Nash have. So that works into the analytics. It tells them that. That's all part of the numbers.
I wish that I don't know if they're getting into that.
They're in the stuff. Trust me, stuff rate and stop tackles are one of the biggest things that offensive coordinators look at when it comes to looking at defensive lines for teams.
So what I would say for this 4th and 1 is that we couldn't convert a 4th and 1 against Houston Christian.
Yep.
So I don't think that if you look at the analytics that say like generically you should go for it, that's fine. But if you look at this team, we couldn't do it against a much inferior opponent.
Yeah.
I think it's wishful thinking to think that we can do it against Michigan.
Derek, I appreciate the phone call. We got to get out of here. I understand what you're saying. Again, I didn't like the play call. I didn't have a problem with the play. Thank you for joining us for Severe Reaction. We'll be back in 2 weeks following the Michigan State game right here on 1620 The Zone.